I'm Judy, writer in residence with Hearts Need Art, here to bring you another writing prompt. So I was thinking about what you might want to write about, and I hope you do, but I have this cutting board in my kitchen that has all different pictures of fruit and a few veggies there. And it reminds me of my growing up on the farm in Pennsylvania. Our house was pretty much surrounded with an apple orchard. We had a pear tree there, we had a cherry tree, but mostly apples. And I remembered climbing up, or shaking the tree. Actually, we'd climb up in the branches and shake and shake and shake to get the apples to come down. We had an awesome red apple tree. I know we had a northern spot tree that Mom used those apples for all of her pies and cobblers. But the most fun was laying in our playhouse under the huge branches of the biggest apple tree there and chewing on an apple. That was fun. Hot afternoons, summer afternoons that we would just sit out there or lay out there in that playhouse and chew on apple after apple. All of those were free. Now I go to the grocery store and I pay $1.97 a pound for apples. And we had a place called Huckleberry Mountain about 5 miles away from home. And we got the best huckleberries, blueberries. We could go for the whole day, take our picnic lunch and just pick to our heart's desire. Mom made blueberry jam, blueberry jelly. She made blueberry pies. She made everything from blueberries, apples, pears, cherries. I think I lived in a heaven. It was just an awesome place to grow up. But today, I go to the grocery store and I spend $3.99 on a pint of blueberries. Makes me really want to go back to the old days. There's so many different foods from my childhood, even peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that I still love today. But there are so many foods that I remember fondly. Maybe because my mom did too. She was a foodie and was in the kitchen all the time. She loved to cook, she loved to bake, she loved to garden. So, I don't know, I guess I was a spoiled child growing up with that. You can think back, I'd like to stretch your brain a little bit, get those creative juices going up here, and think back at something you really, really love. Perhaps you grew up on the coast and you fell in love with lobster or shrimp or halibut maybe. Maybe you were in Alaska. But there are those childhood foods that we never forget. Or perhaps there's something just recently that you've enjoyed and you really, maybe it's a food that you have never had before and you're quite impressed with it. I want you to write about that. Right now, we're going to go into the computer there and we'll pull up some words that'll get you started to write about your favorite food or the foods that you're really fond of right now. So, all right, I'll see you in there. So, here we are at the computer and I have my apples on here with 4 different areas that we're going to write about. But first we have to do some brainstorming to get those creative juices going in your brain and in mine. So let's think about the appearance, the taste, the byproducts, and the event where you experience these apples or whatever your favorite food is. So first of all, think of apples. In our orchard, we had several different types of apples. I'm thinking at first had the red juicy apples. We had the yellow apples that were really good too. We also had the green, really, really tart apples, best for apple pies, of course. And then you think about the texture. The texture, you could say sometimes it could have been a little more squishy, but I like to think of biting into a really hard apple. Um, they're round and yet not perfectly round. Some of them are even that kind of a heart shape or oval apple. What else? When you get one directly from the tree, not so much in the grocery store, but there's always that stem on it with maybe a couple leaves on it too. So that's what I think of when I think of apples, the appearance. Now, what about the taste? Got to think of, and if you just close your eyes and think of how that food tasted, or maybe you just had it this morning, how did that food taste? To me, the best thing in chewing on an apple was that it was just yummy. I would use a descriptive word like that. You can also think of sweet or tart. I'll tell you a secret. I had my first and only cigarette up in the northern apple tree, taking a bite of a tart apple and one puff of a cigarette. I guess that's why I never smoked after that. Also, your apples can be juicy. Hopefully, most of them are. The peeling on the apple, though, can be a little tough. In fact, you don't ever want to put the peelings into an apple pie because then it's a little more chewy than what you really want an apple pie to be. Think about the byproducts. My mom would take those northern spy apples and core out the center part and then drop brown sugar and butter down in the middle and bake them. Oh my goodness. Baked apples were yummy. So to me, my first choice is baked apples. Number 2 for me would be pies, cobblers, and back home in Pennsylvania, we had lots of apple cider. People made it. We made it. It was yummy. Mom made lots of jelly. Not jam, but jelly with the apples. And then when you're thinking of your food, your favorite food, what event do you tie in with it? To me, besides pumpkin pies, we always had apple pies at Thanksgiving dinner. Since we were the only ones in our whole big family who had a farm, we had lots of picnics in our orchard. So I think that every picnic had an apple pie or apple cobbler. I also remember in our playhouse with a great big apple tree over the playhouse and just laying in there reading books every day in the summer and chewing on an apple. So for me, it comes up as a fond memory of being in the playhouse. You have other events, other byproducts, taste, appearance. All of this will be different for you. So think about that. Now, I decided to go with okra because we already did a fruit. And an okra is something that is really native to Texas. And I learned about okra. I didn't even know about okra until I moved to Texas many, many years ago. But it's a totally different type of produce. When we think about the appearance of okra, it's long. I don't know if okra is any other color but green. There's kind of a little fuzzy coating on the outside of it. And it also has a stem, a longer stem than what an apple would. The taste, depending on how it's cooked, it can be slimy. I think that's why I didn't like it to start with. Some people say it has a silky texture. I never thought of it as silky. I thought it as more slimy. It can be crisp, cooked crisp in the oven. Some people say that it tastes like eggplant. I guess it does. I love eggplant. Others say that it tastes nutty or almost a seedy taste. What are the byproducts? Just lately, well, within the last probably 2 years ago, a friend of mine invited me over to her garden just at okra picking time. We sat in the garden with a bowl of ranch dressing and we ate fresh okra. I never knew you could do that before. It was so good. So, fresh okra, I think that's almost the best way to eat it. The number one way for me is fried with that little bit of cornmeal coating on it. You can also have it stewed. Of course, if you don't stew it right, then you get into that slimy stuff. You can also have pickled okra. I don't care for the pickled. Some people love it. Now, what are the events that I think of when I think of okra? My first thought is in the garden. I loved that in the garden. That was my favorite place. My next one would be one of my favorite restaurants that really knows how to cook that fried okra to the best. I think we're going to leave it there for today. There are two products, one fruit, one vegetable, and you will come up with your own. Think about what your favorite one is. But we have to give you a prompt. I don't want to leave you without a prompt. So here's how you can start your little writing for today. Here we go. Very simple. My favorite food is, and you write down what that favorite food is, because, and then maybe add something about the taste or the byproducts or the event where you enjoyed it for the first time. You could say it's red and crisp and sweet. It's just fill in the blanks, period. And every time I eat blank, whatever that is, I think of, maybe you think of mom. Maybe you think of the orchard or a picnic or whatever. What do you think of when you eat that special food? So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this time, and I hope that you will get busy and get your own writing going with the food product that you would like to kind of think about and to remember. It doesn't have to be something from your youth. It could be something you had this morning. Perhaps you are getting ready for lunch or for dinner, and you have this marvelous aroma coming from the kitchen. And that may bring back some memories, maybe not. Maybe you just want to savor the thought and then the taste of whatever is cooking in the kitchen at the time. So again, I hope that you enjoyed this time. I enjoy being with you, and I hope we can do it again real soon. So until next time, I'm Judy with Hearts Need Art. Be blessed today.